I guess I have some time.
Okay, thanks. What was your childhood like?
Well, I was born in Hodgenville, Kentucky, to a man named Thomas Lincoln and a woman named Nancy Hanks Lincoln. I was named Abraham after my grandfather. My father was an uneducated man who never even dreamed that his children, let alone any of our relatives, would become the President of the United States. I had one older sister named Sarah who didn't get along with me, and one younger brother who died in infancy named Thomas after my father. In 1817, I moved to Perry County, Indiana, because of land disputes. When I was 9 years old, my mother died of tremental disease, or otherwise known as milk poison. My father remarried to a woman named Sarah Bosch Johnston. She led me to all of my education and helped me create a thirst for learning.
Was it hard to get accustomed to Sarah and her family?
Originally, I thought it would be, but it wasn't. We grew a tight bond together, and we really welcomed her and her 3 children to the family.
Because of losing your mother at an early age, losing your brother in infancy, not receiving much education, and having your dad remarry so quickly, do you think you had a rough childhood?
Yes, I guess you could say that. Then again, it helped prepare me for life on the road. It helped me establish my beliefs and what I valued in life. I learned that all lives sooner or later come to an end. On the other hand, receiving 18 months is fairly decent back then. Most children receive a year or maybe even no education at all.
Okay, so you view it as a rough, harsh, yet successful?
I guess you could say that.
Throughout the Civil War, did you ever second guess yourself to get the Northern and Southern votes rather than just the Northern?
Never. I'm actually quite embarrassed that you would even ask me that. How do you think I got the nickname Honest Abe? I knew that there needed to be a change in our country's view on slavery, and I was willing to take up that challenge. Do we not follow the guidelines all men are created equal? The South began to think I was going to get rid of slaves once and for all. I just wanted to stop the growth of slaves, which would eventually stop slaves altogether. The route I took might have been the one less traveled and the more violent road, but in the end, I got the job done.
In some eyes, you are an inspiration. Why?
Well, as you know, I had a fairly rough childhood, and my dad was an uneducated man. I stuck to my dreams of making an impact on the nation. I am very proud of what I achieved and left behind. Don't get me wrong, I am the opposite of perfect. I failed time after time to become a state legislator for Illinois, a member of the U.S. Congress, member of the U.S. Senate twice, and a speaker in the Illinois House, and many more. I also lost my sweetheart at an early age and had a nervous breakdown. All of these minor setbacks served as stepping stones to becoming where I am today, the 16th President of the United States and re-elected in the next election.
Where do you find the passion and creativity in your speeches?
Well, my speeches are simply what I believe. I'll write what the nation needs to be done to be successful and honestly just share my opinion. I dig deep and really focus on the truth, not what people want to hear, but where and or how I feel our nation needs to be led in the future.
Would you consider this your greatest achievement or freeing slaves?
Well, I know I had some pretty good speeches to influence my voters, but that's a tough question, really. I guess I can narrow it down to 3. Being re-elected twice and after having all those hardships, keep going and becoming the nation's 16th president, setting slaves free in the Civil War, and uniting the Confederacy after they had seceded from the Union.
You're not a modest one in the crowd, are you? I know this may be a tough question for you, but how do you feel about your assassination?
Well, that's a bit broad now, isn't it?
Well, they do call you Honest Abe for nothing. What I meant to say was, do you feel it was a mistake coming to Ford's Theater that evening? Do you think there wasn't enough protection or any other feelings that you have?
I actually was hoping you'd ask me about this topic. I feel that I was showing our nation's support through coming to the play, Our American Cousin. The only thing I would have done differently was have a little bit more protection. Towards the end of the Civil War, I knew I would have some angry Southerners, but never really drastically thought it would go this far. But I never ever thought it would put my life in jeopardy. I guess I should have seen it coming. It was a mistake to only have one officer with me, but that part confuses me the most was that this man knew who I was. And he knew how to get me. He had a plan with 6 other men before to kidnap me in Richmond, the capital of the Confederacy. I didn't show up the first time where I thought I would be. Booth himself created the genius yet evil plan to kidnap me at Ford's Theater on his own. Once John shot me in the head and stabbed Rathbone, an army officer, in the arm. He jumped over the balcony on the stage and broke his leg. Somehow he escaped by horseback, but he was caught a few days later outside of Maryland.
But once Booth was hung, justice was served. One last question. Why do you believe that you are regarded and known to be one of our nation's greatest heroes?
For one, the United States was in a time of need, and I guess I was just a man for the job. I had certain beliefs on what the world should be like, more in particular our nation, and I just stuck to my opinion. I guess I'm regarded as one of the nation's greatest heroes because of my lasting effect and success on the country and impacted the lives of African Americans everywhere.
Well, I for one am very honored and thankful for what you have done. In honor of you, our nation has made a memorial for you in Washington, D.C., and you put on a $5 bill and a penny. Thank you, it means a lot.
Thank you.
And this is how the cookie crumbles. See you next time on Mr. Bailey's History Channel.